is let's go ahead and get the enemy to fire at the player. So what I'm going to do, we can't use the same projectile of sorts, but I will duplicate it. I'm going to name this my enemy projectile. And I'm going to create a new tag for it. Enemy projectile. Now, in our projectile script, I can create a separate script for each one, but I'm going to try something new. And I'm going to see if this can pull the object's tag and then adjust this variable for either one. So what I'm going to do, if this is greater than 29 and game object, let's do this game object dot tag is equal to projectile. We do that. I'm just going to copy this. And if we're less than or equal to, let's say, negative 40, and our tag is, look at it again, enemy projectile, then we destroy the object. And in player, I have it right, and then we don't have to worry about that. Now, in the enemy, we're going to kind of do some of the same things we did with player. And in the enemy, let's go ahead and do, let's create a function. We'll go here and we'll create float fire rate, float fire rate rand, float fire rate min. Float fire rate max. And actually probably 0.5 and maybe 1.5 is more accurate. All right. So what we're gonna do is, let's go region. And I'm gonna use I'm gonna just make my own little function for this. Avoid so we're going to fire at the player, and to start out, Once we get our new, I guess, start or reset position, let's go ahead and also put in the ability to randomize firing. So fire rate ran is equal to a random range fire rate min fire rate max. And our fire rate is equal to fire rate rand. So we have that value in there. So once, if we're able to fire at the player, the first thing we're going to do is fire rate is equal or less than or equal to time dot delta time. If fire rate is less than or equal to time, I'm sorry, 0, then we're going to fire at the enemy, I mean the player. And let's go ahead and put in public game object enemy projectile. So I'm going to instantiate enemy projectile transform dot position quaternion dot identity. But we have a problem here, and that is both of these are going to be based upon rigid body physics for their movement. So let me change this to a rigid body. Let's go ahead and create a rigid clone. The clone is equal to that. Make sure it's an actual rigid body and cast it as a rigid body. And then we're gonna get it clone get component. Component that we're gonna get is this rigid body. We're gonna grab this add force. And we don't have a speed for this, so root enemy projectile speed, let's say it's 50 for right now. And what we're going to do, this is going to go vector 3 and vector 3 left times our rate here. Now enemy projectile speed, and then we're going to get our force mode force for right now. And then once we have this, we'll just tell this our fire rate is once again equal to our fire rate ran. And we'll actually, what we'll do is we will run this again. Until this, that you're equal to fire rate ran. Now, we're only going to do this if the player is hit by the ray that is being cast by the enemy. So we're going to go up here, see friend or foe, and then we're going to put place our function. All right, in the enemy, let's load in our enemy projectile. There we go. And let's see what happens. Copy this for right now. I'm just going to make this bigger just so we can see it easily, a little bit more easily. There we go. Trying to get the... And for right now, let's add in a speed damper to the enemy. So when it hits, it slows down. Speed down. Let's say it's equal to... here. So it's equal to 1 instead of 0. And what we're going to do is we're going to place this around our mount to move. And then if we see the player, our speed down, let's say we go down to 0.25. Let's see if I can rock else statement in here. Let's see if that works. We'll go back to 1. Also, when we respawn, I'm going to set this back to 1 as well too. And we hit build. And for some reason, I think the enemy is exploding itself. So let's see what's going on there. Because I use projectile and not enemy projectile. There we go. There we go. It's a little slow. We're going to have to fix that. Alright, so it is firing them. what I do want to check is the speed damp, and it's not going to go back because once um, it's not calculating that it's being that something's being hit, it can't really work this else statement. So what I would need to do is, if I dampen it, I would need to figure out another way to check to see if that is happening. All right, now as for the enemy, and we'll come back to that part, let's do a couple of things. Fire rate is a little low. We're going to bring that up. And we're also, let's use it. We're going to use this. And then we're also going to affect its rotation. Same thing that we did up here. In fact, I can just copy this. And we can slow it down. So we have our speed down, and this only works when we're hitting the player. And I could theoretically, because we will need this from somewhere else, is just use it with this and say, well, if I'm not hitting anything, then I'm back up to 1. And then also when we reset, it's back up to 1 as well too. Let's see if that works. And then just so that we get just a little bit more of a smooth transition, what I'm going to do else, we'll use a math F lurk speed damp, and we'll make this 1, and then time, and I'll use this up here as well too. Instead of 1, we'll go to 0.25. So what we're starting to do is starting to build a behavior in our enemy. And that behavior is allowing the enemy to fire at the player, recognize that geometry, and then make a decision based upon that. Is this true AI in its truest sense? No. That becomes very complicated when you start to actually get objects to think, retain, and process information, because the big problem with that is the amount of variables and variance that comes with that. But at least you're starting to think about, well, if this happens, then do this. If this happens, do that. So it's not quite AI, but it's starting to go down that path. It's like the road that leads to the path, and then from there. So let's do this very quickly. So player We haven't added anything yet, and probably what we're going to do is start to build once we come back from break. Is start to build the spawn of the character, getting the character to go off screen when it is hit by a projectile, and then spawn back up. Um, we also need to do one other check that I haven't done yet. And our code is working because it is disappearing. We do need to do one other thing though, and in the player, and do I have it in the enemy? No, I don't. So let's start off with this. So if our player projectile hits our enemy, we need to destroy the projectile. And so that's what we're going to do. And destroy other game object. If we are the player and we're hit with the enemy projectile, I can't run these two together because then I'm destroying the enemy, and I don't want to destroy the enemy just yet. But what I will do, if other attack is equal to enemy projectile, we destroy other game object. We'll drop that in the enemy as well. Okay. So when